Welcome back to Organist Launchpad. I am Gajraj, and today I'm going to talk to you about structuring multidisciplinary events. I am the co-founder of an arts collective, Symphonics, along with Esther Ruth Teal, who is another organist. We have done a few multidisciplinary concerts in the past few months, and we're in the middle of preparing for another one right now. I think that because of the nature of the organ, multidisciplinary projects work so well with our instrument. We are often tucked away in the organ loft, meaning that audiences can rarely see us perform and instead look around the church, admiring the architecture or stained glass windows or whatever else is going on, providing us with the perfect opportunity to collaborate with dancers or visual artists or videographers to have multiple artistic experiences in the same concert. I find that in this technological era, we are so overstimulated by all our devices and the general chaos of 21st century life. So it's hard to capture and hold audiences, and even my own, attention for an extended period of time. I have found it easier and often more fun and fulfilling to engage audiences through multidisciplinary concert experiences. We, as organists, are lucky because our instrument exists mainly in churches and in other large spaces. This makes it easy to secure a venue for our performances, since our instrument is built into the venue. When we were coming up with the idea for our Symphonics launch concert, we already knew it was going to be multidisciplinary, since it was the launch of an arts collective. And Symphonics is for any woman, femme, or trans artist, regardless of artistic discipline, although it is centered around recontextualizing the pipe organ and introducing it to youth and non-musicians. We settled on a unifying theme, the journey towards self-acceptance, and a title, Becoming. We structured it in 3 sections: youth, adolescence, and maturity. This concert was about throwing off internalized beliefs about who we should be and becoming who we really are, away from the internalized misogyny and internalized homophobia that we and many other people learned in our youth. So once we had settled on a loose artistic structure, we decided that the best way to get across our specific message was to incorporate poetry that had special meanings to us as we have gone on this journey of self-acceptance over the years. We chose poetry selections to fit the theme of each section, and we asked a theater student from Concordia to provide dramatic readings of the selections. So, for example, the first section, Youth, dealt with the shame of internalized homophobia and the suppressing of your identity. The poetry selections for this first section included Poem for the Year's Close on Being Closeted by Keaton St. James, Boy in a Stolen Evening Gown by Said Jones, and excerpts from Alison Bechdel's Fun Home. The poetry for our second section, Adolescence, discussed darker aspects of queerness, such as the historical violence against queer people and rejection from family and friends, and ultimately escaping those spaces. The texts for this section were a bit darker, such as Glitter in My Wounds by Kat Conrad, History of Sexual Preference by Robin Becker, and My Lover is a Woman by Pat Parker. And our third and final section of our launch concert, Maturity, ended on a joyful and tender note with selections such as Love Poem to a Butch Woman by Deborah A. Miranda and excerpts from Poetry is Not a Luxury by Audre Lorde. So we decided that we wanted to have the organ playing throughout without a break, even in between pieces. For example, sometimes we sustained a pedal drone and transferred feet while one of us slipped off the bench. Our collaborator read the poetry excerpts while walking around the church, and we remained in the organ loft, improvising under the text. We performed this at Christ Church Cathedral in Montreal, which has a Carl Wilhelm organ with 3 manuals, 42 stops, and 63 ranks. We were able to half-draw stops for different effects. So, for example, the first poem, On Being Closeted by Keaton St. James, contains the line, I spend so much time in the fog-damp evergreens, singing like a wanted man, a haunted, hunted man. My dreams are as ravenous as wintertime. So we were sustaining cluster chords on half-drawn stops for a windy effect. And then on the word ravenous, we pulled out the basson on the récit just briefly and pushed it back in. So the organ let out a little ravenous growl. Of course, our collaborator was mic'd, so they were audible above the organ. And we also decided that since the concert was moving from themes of uncertainty, insecurity, and shame to peace and acceptance, we should start in the lower range of the organ, so mainly 16-foot stops, while we were improvising under the poetry, and gradually move to the lighter and higher range of the instrument. For the last poem of the concert, Recreation by Audre Lorde, we had very soft flutes as a gentle halo over the closing words. Touching you, I catch midnight, as moon fires set in my throat. I love you flesh into blossom. I made you, and take you made into me. For musical selections, although we wanted the organ playing throughout, we also wanted to include some songs and to collaborate with some singers. For example, in the youth section, we had more mournful, pensive music, such as Ethel Smythe's Prelude and Fugue on O Traurigkeit, O Herzeleid for solo organ, and Lily Boulanger's beautiful song Reflets, which opens with the words sung in French, "Beneath the water of the dream that rises, my soul is afraid, my soul is afraid." The excerpt from Alison Bechdel's Fun Home, "Shame is in itself a kind of death," led right into the mournful prelude and fugue on the Good Friday hymn, O Darkest Woe, O Heart's Pain. So we made sure to finish our improvisation on an E flat, so it was easy to transition seamlessly into the Ethel Smythe piece. And we did the same for the poem preceding the Lily Boulanger piece, but instead with an F sharp. We also varied the mood of the artistic selections as in any concert program. So for example, in the second section, Adolescence, the poem Glitter in My Wounds by Keck Conrad finishes with the poignant lines, "You think Oscar Wilde was funny. Well, darling, I think he was busy, distracting straight people so they would not kill him." This transitioned into Esther Ruth's moving transcription of Mystery of Love by Sufjan Stevens for organ, voice, and electronics with the message, "Blessed be the mystery of love." Conversely, the gentle, warm Honeysuckle at Dusk for solo organ by Florence Price transitioned into the bittersweet My Lover is a Woman by Pat Parker, which deals with shame and rejection from family members. I think when you're structuring multidisciplinary concerts, it can be tempting to have many different art forms performing at once. But in my own experience, personally, I have found it more effective when it is limited to 2 or 3 different disciplines at once, to avoid clutter and keep it cohesive. For example, a couple of months ago, we held a salon night inspired by 18th century salons, which were gatherings in people's homes in which art, music, and discussion were shared, and these salon nights were often hosted by women. So our salon night consisted of a more traditional recital with piano, voice, and violin, while a visual artist painted on the side next to the piano. This way, attention was still focused on the recitalists, but the audience could simultaneously watch the creation of visual art. Going back to our launch concert, Becoming, when we had solo organ pieces that were a little bit longer, another collaborator from the dance school at UCAM danced throughout the church aisles. This was especially effective in the last section, Maturity, when I played Morning Mood from Grieg's Peer Gynt Suite. This was close to the end of the concert, and it was so beautiful to see someone dance throughout the church aisles as we had moved through this journey in the concert, from darkness to light and from shame to joy. Our launch concert ended with a composition by Esther Ruth for organ and choir. The choir walked through the aisles, singing the words "alive," symbolizing the passion and love for life that comes with self-acceptance. To summarize, when I am structuring multidisciplinary events, I first pick an overarching theme for the concert and create a basic outline of what I want to convey artistically. This comes even before picking repertoire or collaborators. Next, I think about what I want in the space, what kinds of artistic collaborators, whether it's spoken word poets, dancers, or live painters. Often, I choose repertoire close to the end of the process to fit the narrative and match the other art forms that I have decided upon. But this is how I do it personally, and I think that this will vary from person to person, since there are so many different ways that you can express yourself and express your art through multidisciplinary concerts. I hope that this has helped you understand a little bit of what goes into structuring a multidisciplinary concert experience, and that you will try it out in your church. I think that the future of the organ very much lies in collaborative experiences, because this is also an incredible way to introduce the general public to the organ. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and tune in next time on Organist Launchpad, where I will be talking about finding and choosing collaborators.